People will sometimes come to me and say, Bill, I really want to hear the voice of God. I just don't know how to do it. And I understand that struggle and sometimes that frustration. It just seems like you've tried to listen and you just don't hear anything. What is going on? Well, to help me understand this, I use the analogy of a radio receiver. Right now in this space, and whatever space you're watching this from, there are literally thousands of voices and images passing through your room all the time. The only reason you can't hear them or see them is because you're just not dialed into the right frequency. I actually think it's the same in the spiritual realm. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed and bombarded by the voices of this world or the voices in our own head, our fears, our anxieties, what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, what am I going to do now, that there's just no room to be tuned into God's frequency, and so we can't hear Him. We hear everything else, we just can't seem to hear Him. So what do? Well, the Bible gives the solution. The Bible says, be still and know that I am God. It starts by being still. You actually have to discipline yourself to push out all the distracting noises. For some of you, it may mean you have to turn off the TV. You have to turn off the radio. It might mean for some of you to shut those voices that are bombarding you and push them out and say, no, I'm not going to listen to that right now. I need to be still and know. Knowing is that dial, to dial into the frequency of God. How do you know God? Well, you know Him through His Word. You know Him through prayer. It's really taking the time to say, God, I want to know You. First by pushing everything else out and then allowing Him to have predominance in your mind and in your heart, because that's the language God speaks. He speaks the language of the heart. So you don't have to get hung up on the words. Just let Him see your heart and listen for His heart, His love for you. So be still and know that I am God. You see, here's the great part about this. When you learn to hear His voice, when you learn to discipline yourself to push out every other distraction, every other noise, every other thing that happened to you yesterday could happen to you tomorrow, and in the moment be present and know that He is God, I promise you there is something that changes inside of you. It gives you a sense of purpose and power and destiny, because that's what God has for you. So my encouragement to you today is to tune in to God's voice by pushing out the distractions and letting Him in. And that is a stepping stone to being who God has created you to be.